sunrise looks amazing right now. I'm gonna be taking some pictures out here in a little bit. I was just out there on the beach, but it's looking even better right now, so I'm just gonna record this. If you don't know this about me, I buy, fix, test, and sell cameras. Everything from 35mm film cameras, medium format cameras, and also Super 8 and Super 16 cameras. And in the time that I've been buying and selling cameras, I've gotten a lot of good cameras, but I've also gotten some ones that didn't work the way they're supposed to. They were bad. And in the time that I've done that, I've gotten used to knowing what it is that you have to look for when you're buying cameras. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you what you should look for when you're buying a film camera. It could be your first one or your 100th one. I'm going to talk about this in this video, so let's jump right into it. There are two main places where you could be buying your film camera. You're probably going to be buying it online, or you're going to be buying it in person through somebody that you met online. But I'm going to be talking about these two things separately. Either way, if you're buying it online, you're buying it in person, you need to research the camera. Research the camera, get to know a lot about the camera, get to know if it's a right fit for you. Because a lot of these film cameras, even though they're all similar in that they take photos, a lot of them have little quirks about them that make them a little different, that the camera companies improved a little bit on this one, on that one. For example, Pentax has the M series, right? They have the ME, the MV, the MV1, the MG, the MS, the ME Super. There's a lot of different variations of the same type of camera, and some of them are more better depending on what stage you are in film photography, and a lot of them have a little quirks to them. So get to know the camera, get to know exactly what you want before you go ahead and buy a film camera. If you're buying a camera online, that is without seeing it in person first, there are a couple of things you need to look out for. Most likely you're going to be buying it off a site like eBay. You need to read the description. Read the description and see what it says. You need to read the description because the description gives you all the details you need to know about the camera. The first thing you need to look out for is that the description says that the camera works. The camera needs to work. And if it doesn't say that it works, you need to message the seller and ask them, does this camera work? If they say they don't know, number one, it means that the camera doesn't work. And number two, it means that the camera doesn't work. Don't buy that camera. Another thing that you need to check out for is that, is it film tested? If it's film tested, ask them if they can send you pictures to prove that the camera is film tested. And also you need to ask the seller if it's functioning properly, because they could say that it works and you don't know for sure that it works. Ask them if the advanced level works. Ask them if the shutter release is working. Ask them if everything functions as is. A couple of things you need to stay away from when you're buying the camera online. Stay away from, I don't know if it works. Stay away from, haven't used it in years. Stay away from selling as is. All those are red flags that should go off in your mind every time you hear those words, especially, I don't know if it works. Most likely, it doesn't work. Another way you can buy a camera, and the way in which I recommend everybody buy a camera, is to buy it in person. When you're buying in person, this is the best way because you get to see the camera, you get to touch the camera, you get to test the camera out in person before you make that purchase decision. The first thing you want to do when you're buying a camera in person is check that all the mechanics work. Check that the shutter isn't stuck. Check that the advanced level works. Check that the mirror isn't broken. Just check all the buttons on the camera and make sure that everything is in good working condition. The second thing you want to look out for is look through the viewfinder. A lot of times with these cameras, when you're looking through the viewfinder, there's some specks of dust in there. Because these cameras are so old, a lot of them were stored in dusty places for a long time. A lot of times the viewfinder accumulates dust, it gets a little foggy in there and affects the way that you see the picture that you're taking. And a lot of times these things are super hard to take out to clean, and it's not a great experience to do that, and to send it to someone to fix costs a lot of money. So look through the viewfinder, make sure it's clean. Again, it's not a deal breaker, but it's just something that affects the way that you use the camera. Another thing, which is not necessarily a major thing because you can shoot without it, is the light meter. Check the light meter, especially as a beginner film shooter. The light meter is your friend. The light meter is going to save you, it's going to help you get good shots, and it's going to make the overall film experience better. It's going to make it better. Obviously, you can use an external light meter that you can get free on your phone. There's also a light meter that you can get, which is an actual light meter. It helps get you a better experience, helps make sure that you know that exposure is working, because even though the light meter is working on the camera, you don't know if it's working for real. You still have to test it out with an external light meter first. But having a working light meter on the camera, especially as a beginner, makes the overall experience that much better. Another thing you want to do is make sure that the glass is in great shape. And when I talk about glass, I'm talking about the mirror on the inside of the camera as well as the lens. If any of these are foggy, it's going to affect not only the way you view the picture, it's also going to affect the type of pictures that you take, right? If the lens is foggy, you're going to get a foggy picture. If there's fungus in there, if the aperture ring doesn't work properly, or if it doesn't even come with the lens, it makes it that much more difficult to take pictures. It makes the overall experience just not great, because then you wouldn't know if something's wrong with the camera, something's wrong with the lens. You just wouldn't know what's wrong with it. So making sure that the lens is in good working condition, looking through the viewfinder, and then making sure that you can see through the lens and see through everything is one of the main things you want to check for. And another thing, which is not necessarily a big thing, is that you want to make sure that you know what type of film the camera takes. Most 35mm cameras take the same type of 35mm film. You don't have to worry about that, because you know it takes 35mm film. But if you're buying a medium format camera, or if you're buying any other type of camera, you need to know what type of film it takes, right? Sometimes you might think it takes 120 when it actually takes 4x4 or 110 film. And that's happened to me a couple of times, because I also shoot medium format. So it's like, make sure you check that, make sure you know what type of film the camera takes, and don't just assume that you know. These are just some of the steps that you can take when buying your first film camera, or whenever you're buying a film camera in general. And this is not necessarily an exhaustive list. This is just some of the things that I do personally when I'm buying a film camera. It's definitely going to make sure that you do at least get a good working product. It doesn't necessarily ensure that the camera is not going to stick in the future, or it's not going to get broken, or something else might not be wrong that you didn't even see. It's just you doing your due diligence when buying this film camera, because chances are you might not be able to return it. And that brings us to the end of this video. Check in the description down below. I'm going to be putting a blog up on my website, filmstockreal.com. You can check out some of the things that I offer, some of the things that I've talked about previously, and you can see the film cameras that I have on offer. Let me know in the comment section down below what you look for when you're buying a film camera. If I've missed anything, if something needs clarification, let me know in the comment section down below. Until next time, make sure you stay safe, make sure you stay coloring, make sure you shoot film. And I'll see you in the next video, man. I'm gonna take some more beautiful shots of this sunrise right here, because the skies look amazing. And yeah, have a great day. Bye.